In this video, I'm going to explain to you a three-stage protocol which you can use to go from not even knowing the Arabic letters all the way to fluency, and why not following all of these stages or some of these stages is costing you a lot of time and a lot of effort in reaching your fluency goals. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mu'adh Labrada. I left New York 12 years ago when I became Muslim to pursue a path of seeking knowledge and learning Arabic. And it's brought me all the way from Saudi Arabia to Egypt to Mauritania and beyond. And I make these videos because I have been through a lot in my path and have made a lot of errors and been through a lot of pain. And if I can keep some of you from that and help you accomplish what I accomplish in a fraction of the time, then Alhamdulillah, that's a lot of khair there. So let me start off by telling you my journey and how I became fluent. So from NYC to NKC, which is Nawakshot. So this is me before Islam, before I became Muslim in October 2012. And I was involved in, a life of crime. And this picture is in Miami. I actually went to Miami to change my life around, try to put myself in a new environment and get a fresh start. But what I noticed is that if I did not change myself, I just ended up building the same environment around me, and it led to me getting arrested and falling to the ground in dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where I asked the creator alone to guide me to the truth. Alhamdulillah, that led me to Islam. This picture is actually 1 month after that picture, so I decided to go all in. I decided, that if this is the truth, then I could see no other logical explanation, no other logical path forward except to spend my life trying to learn about the truth and apply the truth. And Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to be around students of knowledge who led me to the right path of seeking knowledge. And that's when I started to apply for the University of Medina. I started getting ready to go to Egypt if I didn't get accepted, because I knew that Arabic was the first step. I always imagined and said to myself, what if I couldn't speak to my mother except somebody had to translate for me? How would that make me feel? So, what about my creator? How can I take another day forward without pursuing fluency in the Arabic language, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated with me through? So my first step was getting accepted to actually a university I never applied to. That's a story for another day, but I got accepted to Muhammad ibn Saud University in Riyadh. And this is my ticket. That was in 2014. And it was in October actually. So I went in the middle of the semester. And it was very difficult for me because not only did I not know any Arabic, but I was being thrown into the middle of a semester where they are already teaching Arabic in Arabic. So I like to say that they, threw me in the deep end after they chopped my arms off. But Alhamdulillah, by following the stages which I'm going to mention to you, it helped me get past these struggles and reach fluency quickly and actually graduate from uh, the Arabic Institute in Imam Muhammad ibn Saud University. And through 5 years, I was actually going between Egypt and Saudi. So I would, anytime I would have a break, I wouldn't go back to the West. I'd go to Egypt to immerse myself in the language more, to study more. I didn't want to be from those people who wasted their opportunity to study overseas. So what I would do is go back and forth between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. And this is actually a some notes I found from the first time I studied Al-Ajurumiyya in Egypt, which is a basic primer in Nahu or Arabic grammar. As you see, my writing is not that good, but that's what I would do for 5 years. I'd go back and forth between Egypt and Saudi Arabia until I entered the Faculty of Sharia in Saudi Arabia, where I was sitting next to, other Saudi classmates who a lot of them were there to be able to get a degree and pursue higher judicial positions in their country. And that's the level that the curriculum that I studied was made to prepare us for. But I didn't want to continue my studies in the university because I myself want to study in a more traditional way, studying with the scholars and the shuyukh one on one. So that led me to find a madrasa in Turkey, and that is where I actually currently study and have been for the past 7 years. And here I got into a lot higher studies in Arabic, so it's more of specialization studies. And I've been through numerous books in Nahu, Arabic grammar, Sarf, morphology, rhetoric, which is Balagha, and other than that. And not only have I studied these things here, but I've been teaching them for the past 7 years to foreigners and Arabs as well. And this is the library of the madrasa. This is one of the books that we studied there, and Alhamdulillah, as I've been there, it's been very time consuming, and I found myself not progressing in the Quran as memorizing the Quran as much as I wanted to. So I decided that I needed to take some time off to go and memorize the Quran. So me and a couple brothers, Muhammad Andalusi and my friend Hanif, we decided to go to Mauritania for about 4 months. It was supposed to be 2 months at first, but it ended up extending to 4 months. And that's where we lived together and, memorized a great portion of the Quran. I completed 10 ajza, or 10 parts of the Quran there. And this is where it all started in our Telegram chat. And this is where we lived. That is me after a long, or in the middle of a long day of memorizing, just passed out because I was doing about 5 pages a day, subhanAllah, and reading everything from Baqarah to wherever I memorize every single day to my sheikh. So it would be from before Fajr to all the way after Isha. And I've never felt, so connected to the Quran like I felt on this 4 month Quran sprint, and the connection that I built with the brothers and the accountability. It was, subhanAllah, one of the best experiences of my life. And this is where we started in Nawakshot. So we were all living together. I decided to go. I wanted to spend a portion of my time in Mauritania memorizing in a traditional mahdara in the desert. So I went to a mahdara, and this is actually where I lived there. It's called an ambar, which is kind of like a tent with steel ceilings and stuff. And this is where I spent the majority of or this is where I spent the remaining of my time memorizing there. And this is me in the Mahdara. And Alhamdulillah, it was one of the greatest, absolute greatest experiences of my life. And we have one more Quran sprint to finish before, inshallah, we complete our memorization of the Quran. So that's kind of a quick overview up until now, how I became fluent, my, journey with studying Arabic and studying the Quran and seeking knowledge in general, with some details missing in between. But I want to go to now the 3 step protocol, which, I used especially at the beginning of my journey to become fluent. And this is going to start with stage one. Stage one is the foundations. You have to have initial exposure to simple Arabic. And I nailed this down, or boiled this down, to 3 core areas of exposure. The first area of exposure is going to be reading and sounds. So before you can do anything, before you start memorizing words, before you start speaking in sentences, you should start learning how to read. So you want to expose yourself to the Arabic script by learning the 28 letters. You want to learn how the letters change shape at the beginning, the middle, the end of the words, learn the different vowels, and ultimately how to connect all the letters. And you want to start reading real words and real sentences, even if you do not understand what they mean. And that's how a lot of people have actually memorized the whole Quran and they don't understand anything that they're saying, because this can actually be accomplished just by mastering your reading and understand the sounds of Arabic. There's letters such as the ayn, which is different to English, and this is going to be the first step or the first area you need to expose yourself to. And this can be accomplished by studying a simple book. One of the most widespread ones is a book called Al Qa'idat al Nuraniya, which you can find the PDF online. Another one is a book called Iqra Qira'ati, which translates to read my reading. And there's many different books which you can study to accomplish this goal in this area of exposure. The second thing you're going to want to do is expose yourself to practical vocabulary you'll actually use every day. So we want to focus on things that we're actually going to use, because that's the things which are going to be able to stick with you in the beginning. And as we'll mention later, you'll be able to plug it in to real sentences to start using. So this has to do with greetings, assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam, kayfa haluka, how are you, ana bi khair, alhamdulillah, I am good, alhamdulillah. Numbers, واحد اثنان ثلاثة أربع, 1 2 3 4. Food, this is going to become practical when you want to go out and eat with your friends. How to ask for directions, and just refer to different members of your family. Abi, my father. Ummi, my mother. Ukhti, my sister. Ukhtuka, your sister, and things like that. And the last area of exposure is going to be grammar as building blocks. Notice that I said grammar as building blocks. We do not want to learn grammar in a theoretical way. We want to expose ourselves to simple grammatical building blocks and structures which will allow us to form simple sentences. And I'm going to give an example shortly, inshallah, when we speak about the goal at this stage. So let's start by the goal for reading and sounds. Your goal is going to be to read and pronounce any word, even if you don't yet know the meaning. That's your goal. And if you're able to read and pronounce any word, even if you don't know the meaning, then that means you're able to read and pronounce sentences. So that's going to be your first goal with reading and sounds. Your goal for your core vocabulary is to build a core list of vocabulary that you have in your head so that you can quickly grasp the gist of what you read and hear. Because you're going to need to start applying this stuff. You're going to need to start speaking to people. You're going to read things, and you want to have the most important foundational words, which is going to make that possible. And we don't learn vocabulary just for the sake of learning vocabulary. That's probably why a lot of people, they've memorized a lot of vocabulary words, but they still can't speak Arabic. And that's because they don't know how to plug them into the grammar that they learned as building blocks, which our goal will be to learn plug and play formulas, such as how to say, I want X, Y, and Z. So you can say, Uridu qalaman, I want a pen. Uridu kitaban, I want a book. Uridu tufahan, I want an apple. So once you have this simple structure, which is just using a verb in its present tense, and then using or saying the thing that you want. So using this verb, which means I want, and then plugging in what you want in a specific way. As you see, I said qalaman, tufahan, kitaban. I didn't say bun, kitabun, qalamun, tufahun. No. So you want to learn these structures. Where is? Aina kitabi? Where is my book? Aina qalami? Where is my pen? Aina daftari? Where is my notebook? How many do you have? So, كم قلما عندك? How many pens do you have? كم كتابا عندك? How many books do you have? كم دفترا عندك? How many notebooks do you have? And these spaces, which you see here, is where you're gonna plug in a lot of those vocabulary words. And by understanding these grammar as plug and play formulas, it's not just theory anymore. You're actually using it to build real sentences. So let's look at some examples of what you can do at this stage. So in your reading and sound, you'll be able to, as I said, read and pronounce Arabic words with confidence. So you're not going to mix up uh, the ayn with the ghain, or the ha with the ha, or things like that. So you're essentially going to be able to read Arabic. As for the core vocabulary, you're going to be able to plug these words into simple sentence structures in order to have conversations, in order to start actually speaking. And as we said, this is the prerequisite for going and learning these plug and play grammatical formulas that you're going to learn. And also, you'll be able to recognize when they are plugged in, so you'll be able to understand and not just be able to express yourself. So, this is the building blocks. This is what's going to start to get you fluent. This stage is not in and of itself going to get you absolutely fluent, but if you accomplish this stage, you will be able to start speaking quicker than you imagine within a couple months. And the goal for establishing the foundational grammar blocks and patterns are to be able to use pronouns, which is explaining who's doing something, or it's essentially saying he or she or them. Huwa, huwa mu'ad. He is mu'ad. Huwa talibun. He is a student. Anta sadiqi, you are my friend. So you learn how to use the different pronouns. Interrogatives, asking questions. Hal anta bikhayr, are you good? Aina anta, where are you? You'll be able to use verbs, and you know you'll learn conjugation basics, and these verbs are what are really gonna get you to really start speaking. That's where Arabic becomes real fun, and you're able to learn at an accelerated speed. Once you start learning verbs, you'll be able to use nouns and adjectives, so describing things. So you can say, for example, عندي قلم أحمر, I have a red pen. uh, رأيت المسجد الكبير, I saw the big mosque. Okay, and you'll be able to use prepositions. أنا في المسجد, I am in the mosque. أنا في البيت, I am in my house. ذهبت إلى المسجد, I went to the mosque. ذهبت إلى السوق, I went to the market. Okay, so this prepositions are things like saying in or on or with. So if you accomplish these things, you've established the foundations. Okay, but how do we go and establish these foundations in the most, you know, effective way? Because many people study Arabic for years. I know people who went through the three Medina books, for example, and they still are not able to speak and conversate and express themselves and apply these foundations. That's by moving to stage two. And stage two is immersion. So, what immersion does is it turns theory into action. The things we learned, we want to go and apply. And here, I'm focusing on the application of things in a curated environment where you're going to, be able to, get corrected by your teachers. You're going to be able to collaborate with a like-minded community and such. And this will work whether you go to seek knowledge and learn Arabic overseas, or whether you're doing it, from your home, whether you enroll in a program. These aspects of immersion are extremely important, and which actually can get you to start speaking Arabic from the first day of your first lesson. So the three core areas of immersion are: number one is live practice sessions. So you want to be able to speak and listen in real time with teachers. So what you studied becomes something that you actually use and can use. You can go and study and listen to a lesson in Arabic all you want, or study with even a private tutor. But if you're not going out and putting that Arabic into use, it's not really going to stay for that long. And you'll find yourself moving from lesson to lesson, forgetting things which have passed. So that is the problem that live practice sessions solve. You'll be able to actually put your knowledge into use. This is the first aspect of immersion, the first area of immersing yourself into Arabic. The second is one-on-one feedback. So without one-on-one feedback and correction from, people who know Arabic, then you'll often find yourself repeating the same mistakes for years, and you'll pass, lessons with a lot of deficiencies in those lessons, and they'll carry on into, later stages of learning Arabic, and it'll be very hard to change later. As I said, with it, every session compounds your progress with this one-on-one correction. But also without it, every everything you lack, every lesson you pass without one-on-one correction, it's going to compound those deficiencies and those blind spots in your progress. And subhanallah, I found out about how important one-on-one feedback was when I first went to the university in Saudi. In that first semester, when I went in the middle, I used to go after my class to a friend's house who was in a higher level than me, and he would just help me with my lesson, give me really one-on-one feedback, answer any questions that I had, anything which was confusing, discuss concepts with me in detail, which, this is the benefit of one-on-one. This is what I've been doing in Turkey, is studying with my shuyukh one-on-one. And I think one-on-one feedback is absolutely important, even if you have, a general classroom setting as the base of your learning, or let's say you're listening to a series on YouTube, or you enroll in an institute which has video lessons, you need to supplement this with one-on-one feedback to be able to accelerate your progress. And the last core area of immersion is going to be community support. So you want to surround yourself with other learners so you stay consistent, inspired, and accountable. So if you go to seek knowledge in Egypt, surround yourself with other learners who are going to speak Arabic with you. Because I know many people who talk about, oh, um, I'm going to go to a Muslim country to learn Arabic and immerse myself. But then they just surround themselves with other Westerners who spend all of their time, speaking English with each other, going to juice bars and just wasting their time and speaking English. And what I did is I tried to stay away from, people who spoke my language as much as possible, or, you know, kind of surround myself with the brothers who did speak English, but they had that mentality of, no, we're only going to speak Arabic with each other. And we helped bring each other up every step of the way. And it was motivating, and it provided a level of accountability to me. And, I don't believe in the lone wolf myth. You can't do this yourself. Surround yourself, whether that is in Egypt, in Saudi, wherever you go to seek knowledge, or if you can't and you're at home, find a community of like minded learners. So, the goals at this stage, number one, for your live practice sessions are going to be to develop confidence. So, you want to remove the fear of speaking by practicing in a guided, structured setting. So, this should be a place where you go and you're able to make mistakes, you're able to stumble, you're able to, you know, get corrected as well. It's really kind of like your Arabic safe space. So developing confidence is really important, but as well, another goal of the session is going to be to solidify what you learned. So, and you're only going to gain confidence by solidifying what you learned. And the way you solidify what you learned is to put it in use. And these live speaking sessions are extremely, extremely important. The As for the goal on what for one-on-one feedback is going to be to gain clarity and direction. So you're always going to know what to review, what to drop and what to stop doing, what to focus on next. Your one-on-one feedback instructor is going to answer your questions at you have along the way, anything you misunderstood, he's going to tweak that understanding and give you the go ahead to move to the next level, inshallah. And the goal for community support is going to be giving you belonging, accountability, and regular check in so that you never feel isolated. You always stay on track and you keep showing up alongside other motivated learners. And what are some examples of what you can do at this stage? So, for your live sessions or your live speaking sessions, you should be able to role play scenarios using the words and sentences that you studied. So, whether that's an ordering food, asking for directions, proposing to somebody's daughter, whatever book you're studying, you should be able to have a place where you can go and apply it. Go and use the words and the sentences and the conversations that you studied, go and apply that in real life. And role playing scenarios is just one thing that you could do in a live speaking session. There's many different things. As for the one on one feedback, um, you'll be guided to guided repetition, for example. So your teacher will see, okay, he's having a problem with this sentence or this structure or this specific thing. He may have you repeat corrected sentences until they flow. um, Another thing that you'll be able to do is fix, you know, fix things in your understanding which you thought you understood. So you're going to discover those blind spots so that you're not moving forward with understanding something the wrong way. So you're not building a weak foundation. And for the accountability, you're going to be able to engage in peer practice groups. So, short calls where you practice dialogues with other learners. And for this stage, stage two and also stage one, if you want to accomplish these things, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in Egypt, you can do it in Saudi. And if you're able to travel to seek knowledge, then I suggest you travel to seek knowledge. But if you can't, there's different programs online. We have one. It's called Think, Speak, Live Arabic. I'll show you inside a little. And this is where we basically follow uh, the framework that I'm mentioning to you. So right here in Tamhidi, which is the introductory level, this is where we establish all of those foundations. And actually, we have the reading course to establish the reading part of the foundation. And then we have, 4 levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4 of over 200 lessons, where I go through the same curriculum that I studied in Imam Muhammad ibn Saud University. For that immersion, we have daily live speaking sessions. So there is a speaking session every single day if you want to engage in. You don't have to come every day, but it is there available to you. And for those one on one feedback sessions, we have one on one mastery calls. So you can book a call after you finish each lesson to be able to get that one-on-one feedback. And we also have a community with accountability. We have it here on School. We also have it on Telegram. So if you want help in that, we have a community. But again, there are many places where you can get this done. Just find a place where you can implement these things, or however you're able to implement it, and stick to the path that you commit to. Don't jump around. The next stage is going to be application. And this is more of a lifelong stage or process, because fluency is when Arabic leaves the textbook and enters your life. So immersion is kind of like more of a curated, safe environment to go practice specifically what you're learning. But the application stage is where you're going to branch out on your own and you're going to get involved in, you know, learning and engaging with Arabic in the real world beyond your lessons. So I've noted down 3 core areas of application. The first is understanding Islamic content. And this is the reason a lot of us are learning Arabic. We want to understand the khutbas, the Islamic classes online, Quran tafsir directly in Arabic without needing a translation. So you going and listening to classes and taking classes is important for you to go and apply the things you're learning. And you're going to learn new things along the way. But as you're studying Arabic, you need to get out there. As I was studying in Imam Muhammad bin Saud University, I still used to go to the durus of Sheikh Fawzan. I used to go to the durus of the other mashayikh and scholars. And that was a big part in, building my fluency beyond what I was learning in the classroom. Another way is to teach others. So teaching forces clarity. You retain more by explaining. So in Turkey, they have us teaching from the very beginning. So after we finish about 4 books, they start sending you students to first start doing review with them. So they come to you for you to review with them the lesson that they're taking. So they're like 3 books behind. And then they keep sending more and more and more. So you keep reviewing until you finally start getting sent students to teach. And now maybe you're 7 books ahead of them. And now you're teaching and you have this group of students. And that is what allowed me to really, you know, solidify the knowledge that I was studying and be able to, you know, give it to others. So it didn't just, fall upon my benefit. Others were able to benefit. And that's how I've studied and taught books such as the explanation of Qatr al-Nada with the Hashia, the commentary of As-Suja'i and things like these. And teaching others is extremely important. Another thing is to immerse yourself in media. So a lot of us are already checking Instagram, looking at Twitter, watching random things on YouTube. So try to gradually curate your online consumption to Arabic content. This will teach you new words, it'll teach you new usages. And you don't want to be at that stage where you go and you study a full curriculum in Arabic and then you go and you feel like you don't know anything by, when you listen to the news or when you read or hear something online, listen to a podcast. You need to really start applying this from the beginning, especially after you've mastered the foundations. And the goals at each stage, or number one for understanding Islamic content, is going to be to make Arabic meaningful. So not just academic. So when it's tied to Quran, Salah, Dua, Talab al-Ilm, studying, then you'll never abandon it. And again, this is one of the main reasons we're even studying Arabic in the first place. A the next goal, which is going to be to teach others, is going to be to solidify your own knowledge, as I said. So you're going to explain grammar, vocabulary, Quranic meanings to your students, which you already studied. This is going to be another way in forcing the deepening of your understanding. And the goal for immersing yourself in media is to make learning fun and sustainable. So when Arabic is tied to hobbies such as news, shows, social media stories, you practice effortlessly. And as I said, you are going to, widen your horizon of what you know, the different words, the different way things are used in real life in different scenarios. So some examples you can do at this stage in understanding Islamic content. You should be able to read a short tafsir passage, such as in Ibn Kathir, in Arabic each week, underlining words you already know, words you don't know. You go and you ask the ulama. Because even if you don't know Arabic, Quran is not something where you just study um, or just listen to and understand deeply by yourself through your Arabic studies. It requires tafsir, it requires explanation. Um, as for teaching others, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to mentor new learners, correct friends' pronunciations, or share vocabulary tips. And immersing yourself in media will allow you to watch Arabic documentaries, podcast shows, YouTube, etc. So, this is essentially the 3 stages you really need to start learning and becoming fluent in Arabic. And of course, after you master these foundations, you're going to start going deeper, studying higher books, which are going to now give you more vocabulary, going to start to teach you grammar, not just as building blocks, but as principles which you're going to be able to master and apply and understand the intricacies of these building blocks. And then you're going to want to immerse yourself in the language and you're going to want to apply it to your life. And some things too, which I think are important to remember going into this journey, is that number one, you have to be patient with the process. So measure progress by what you can do now that you couldn't do before. Because this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you want to be able to see yourself making progress. You know, be patient with the whole process. It may take a little long time, but as long as every day you know more than knew yesterday, then I promise you, if you follow this process, it will actually take a lot shorter than you probably imagine. It's just all about consistency. The next thing is repetition and use. Repetition plus use equals memory. Use equals memory. This is very important. Why, especially we talk about, the immersion and attending live speaking sessions and having one-on-one feedback. Cramming equals forgetting. So don't stuff your brain with 100 vocabs a day. You want to prioritize putting what you learned to use. So even if you memorize less vocabulary, but you put more of a focus on putting them to use, it's going to be more beneficial. You also want to have a qualified teacher because you're still seeking knowledge. Remember what I said about the one-on-one feedback, how important it is. And this is important to correct mistakes, guide your progress, and stop you from wasting years on bad habits. And you want to follow a structured curriculum. So that could be anything. That could be the Medina books, Arabiya Bayni Yadayk, the Imam Muhammad ibn Saud University curriculum. But you need to understand what are your goals when studying Arabic. So Arabiya Bayni Yadayk, it's more for getting you just surface level conversational, and that may be the goal of a lot of you. It's not a problem. You're going to learn Arabic. You're going to be able to be conversational. But for example, the Imam Muhammad ibn Saud curriculum, it was designed to allow you to enter the faculty of Sharia, a bachelor's program, where you would sit aside Arabs who are, you know, training to be judges and work in governmental offices and prepare you to study higher books in tafsir and fiqh and things like that. So similar the Medina books, but the Medina books as well, the ones you see circulating around are not the only books that are in that syllabus. There are more books. Those are actually just the grammar books from their syllabus. So the important thing is you follow a structured curriculum. You first figure out what your goals are. We teach inside Think, Speak, Live Arabic, the Imam Muhammad ibn Saud curriculum. So if your goal is to be a talib al-ilm, to get that same experience that I got from studying in Saudi, that may be a good curriculum. But again, figure out what your goals are and find a structured curriculum and don't jump back and forth. And that leaves me to the last point. Don't just consume information. So you want to implement every lesson and make real progress. So I hope that helped. So if you want to learn Arabic, figure out how you can go and implement these 3 stages in your life. If you're interested in joining Think, Speak, Live Arabic, then you'll find the link in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.